Assembly of God Teen Bible Quiz Rules Made Simple, Session 2. We're using the simplified rules for Teen Bible Quiz. Download the simplified rules at pfbiblequiz.com/rules. Beginning on page 3 in the section titled Team Privileges and Restrictions. Number 1. 1 to 3 active quizzers who are eligible to answer questions may be at the quiz table to begin the match. Coaches and inactive quizzers should be seated behind active quizzers. Note, this means a team can be a one-person team in Teen Bible Quiz. This sentence contains the first use of an italicized word in the rulebook. Words in italics are defined in the glossary that begins on the bottom of page 8 of the simplified rules. So, what does the word eligible mean as it's used here? We find out on page 9 where it says, eligible quizzer, a quizzer who has not quizzed out or fouled out. As sometimes happens, this definition also contains some italicized words, the words quizzed out or fouled out. Farther down on page 9, we read quizzed out, fouled out. A quizzer has answered 5 questions correctly, 3 questions incorrectly, or has received 3 individual fouls. The quizzer must then leave the table and be seated behind the active quizzers unless he or she is the captain. See Captain Rules under Team Privileges and Restrictions, which of course is the section we started with on page 3, and we will see those Captain Rules in just a moment. First, note that this first point actually defines who is an active quizzer. It is a quizzer who is at the quiz table. In Teen Bible Quiz, a total of 6 quizzers are allowed per team. All quizzers who are not active are considered inactive. Number 2, active quizzers may be replaced during a timeout. Number 3, if the captain quizzes out or fouls out, he may be replaced by an eligible quizzer and remain at the table. Note, if the captain stays at the table, the captain is still considered an active quizzer, though ineligible to answer questions. Number 4, if a quizzer has quizzed out or fouled out, the head coach may immediately replace that quizzer with an inactive quizzer who is eligible to answer questions without using a timeout. So rules 2, 3, and 4 have covered the 3 cases in which an active quizzer can become ineligible and be replaced by an eligible inactive quizzer. That's during a timeout, when a captain quizzes out or fouls out, or when another quizzer quizzes out or fouls out. Number 5, communication during a match is restricted as follows. In violation of these rules will result in a foul. A, all coaches and inactive quizzers may non-verbally communicate at any time among themselves. To the glossary to find out what non-verbally communicate means. It might not mean what you think it means. Non-verbal communication. Non-oral, non-auditory communication between team members. Non-verbal communication as allowed within the rules will be defined as any form of written and or printed communication, hand signaling, motioning, etc. It's also important to understand what verbal communication is. This definition is on page 10. Verbal communication. Any oral communication between team members or with the audience, whether or not the communication is audible. Also, any attempt to speak, motion, mouth words, or signal with the mouth will be considered verbal communication. So back to number 5, part A. All coaches and inactive quizzers may non-verbally communicate at any time among themselves. B. No form of communication is allowed between active quizzers or between active quizzers and other team members except as permitted under rules for conferring, contesting, responding, and timeouts. We'll get to those rules in another session. C. Communication between team members and audience members is not allowed. This includes during timeouts and other times when team members can communicate with each other. This is why I always ask audience members to sit separately from the team so they're not tempted. Finally, number 6. Coaches and inactive quizzers are permitted full use of scripture portions, Bibles, and Bible quiz related materials. We need your feedback. Please send your comments and questions to info@pfbiblequiz.com. Your question might appear in a future session. And please subscribe to our channel. Thanks, and happy quizzing.